This is the LTV 3000 Pro 4K Tri-Chroma laser ultra short throw projector from AWOL Vision. Not to be mistaken with the previous version LTV 3000, the Pro version has introduced Dolby Vision and smart home integration. The 3000 in the name stands for 3000 peak lumens, which, as you can see here, is plenty bright in different rooms and lighting conditions. They do have an even brighter model, the LTV 3500 Pro, but that's another video. A couple of disclaimers here, as I think it's extremely important to be transparent with you, but also to give you an idea of my perspective doing this review and where I'm coming from. AWOL Vision has sent me this to review and are sponsoring this video. I have a whole ethics statement on my website, which I will link down below, just so you know exactly how I work with brands and the vetting process they go through. So if they've made it this far, it's usually because the product is something I would buy myself and the brand is a brand that I can trust. The content itself has been created based on my experience and my opinions alone here, and all the feedback, positive or otherwise, have not been influenced by AWOL Vision. In fact, they were really cool and very responsive to all my queries. I'm a little bit of a newbie to UST projectors, and with that spiel out of the way, we'll talk about the specs a bit more and the setup itself, but let me give you some of the juicy stuff first. And I'm so impressed by the quality here. I was able to watch movies, sports, play games, and I'm loving every bit of it. With the Olympics coming up this year, the Champions League final, Wimbledon, and so many other sports, this projector is exactly what I was looking for. We're gonna cover so many cool features in this video, but here are just two of my absolute favorites so far. The first one is the 24 FPS mode. Most movies are filmed in 24 frames per second, so AWOL Vision added a 24 FPS mode to preserve the original image exactly as the director intended. The second feature is motion smoothing technology. I watch a lot of sports, motor racing, football, soccer if you're in America, UFC fights, and I cannot wait for Wimbledon and the Olympics as well. Like I said, AWOL has MEMC technology, which is perfect for sports. What this technology does is very clever. It inserts frames in the footage, which makes it way smoother. Absolutely perfect for those action-packed movies and sports content. This feature is not exclusive to the LTV 3000 Pro, by the way, but it's certainly welcome here. I have loads of space here in the studio, but at home, my space, my living room is quite limited, so being able to keep this so close to the screen and have it pretty much out of the way, or even slightly hidden under a coffee table, for example, is pretty appealing to me. Of course, you can make it even better by installing it in a proper dedicated projector cabinet, you know, those very expensive cabinets with the cool sliding doors. But the fact that you can unbox it and get it going straight away without any tools, yeah, that's a major selling point for me. Talking of which, keep an eye on the pricing of it, because every now and then they do have special discounts and offers. There's more details about the exclusive discounts down in the description. Now let me show you how easy it was to unbox it and set it all up. All the products came in very well protected packaging. I got some 3D glasses here, and these are separate purchases, by the way. Yes, it was a little bit heavy, but I was able to set it all up by myself and even bring the screen, which is the heaviest part, up 2 flights of stairs here without any help. Definitely recommend you have someone help though, but I was able to do this by myself. I wasn't kidding when I said it was well protected, right? In the projector box, again, all very nicely protected here. We get the remote control, all the batteries, and a nice little surprise here, which is the included Amazon Fire Stick 4K Max. That was a really nice touch. One of the things that even modern TVs lack these days is good TV software. So having the Amazon Fire Stick included takes that problem away, and the setup itself was super simple. At the back of the projector, there's this beautifully designed compartment in here where the Fire Stick goes in. Very convenient and nicely hidden. There's a couple of ports in there as well. Everything out of the way. I do like that it's one less cable for you to worry about that's hanging off the thing, right? I really appreciated that. And talking about convenience, you don't have to use 3 remotes. You know, the projector has CEC function, so you don't need to use the Amazon Fire Stick remote itself. You can do pretty much everything just with the projector's remote. And those nice little details don't stop there. At the top of the projector, we have these little proximity sensors designed to protect your eyes if you ever get close to it. Your pets and your children will appreciate that as well, and yourself, of course. One thing I will say though is that during the setup, as long as you're very careful, you might want to turn the sensor off just temporarily so you can align it properly with the screen. Once everything is aligned, one setting that you need to pay attention to is the focus setting. They have a very useful 8-point keystone correction technology here too, which lets you do very tiny adjustments to the focus. I found that quite a satisfying thing to do actually, but I definitely recommend you try to do the alignment manually as much as possible. I've got the 120-inch screen here, and the screen itself was fairly straightforward to unbox and connect to the power. With the USB synchronized trigger, we can make the screen rise as soon as you turn the projector on. Watch this. And it lowers when I turn the projector off as well. Super cool. That's pretty quick, isn't it? It takes just a few seconds for the screen to rise and to lower, which is great, especially when you want to watch something quite quickly. Setting this all up was a breeze. Honestly, I think I spent longer trying to make sure, everything was aligned than anything else really. The problem I have here in this studio is that the floor is very uneven. This is a very old, industrial building, and I don't think they used levels back in the day. So I used this wood underneath just to try and make it easier to align for me. Also, I should have read the manual because there's a particular way to align which makes it much easier. Basically, you just need to align the bottom of the image first, then everything else becomes easier to adjust. I know we men like to think that we don't need to read manuals. The good news for you is you found this video and I've gone through the pain, so you don't have to. So just make sure the bottom line is aligned first before you make any other adjustments. But at home, this setup was much more straightforward. As I said, I've got the 120-inch floor raising screen as well. We'll talk about the screen in more detail just in a bit. To make sure the image aligns with the screen, you just need to align the projector, paying attention to these measurements here as well. But there's a couple of other measurements that you need to be aware of. The main one is the distance between the back of the projector and the screen if you're installing it in front of the screen. And then using the settings in the menu, you can use the guides that come with it. Actually, during this part, you may need to be patient and only make small adjustments. As I mentioned, I actually turned off the eye protector sensors, but I don't recommend doing this because it's better to protect your eyes anyway, and it's a nice feature to have there. So just be a little bit more patient than I was. Here at the back of the projector, we have all the connectivity options nicely laid out here and very easy to access. There's an optical audio port, which I'm using to connect my soundbar. There's a service port, USB, Ethernet, AV port, and 2 HDMI ports, one of them being ER. In terms of wireless connectivity, we have dual band Wi-Fi and Bluetooth 5. From a power perspective, it comes with a universal power supply, so it's gonna work anywhere in these AC ranges that you see on the screen. And talking about power, my 65-inch 8K TV that is right behind this projector here burns a lot of energy. You can even feel the heat coming out of it sometimes. So it's nice to have this option now that not only is much bigger, on average that's about $70 a year to run, which is incredible. In comparison with my LED TV here, which consumes about 400 watts per hour and is half the size, this projector, of course, is much cheaper to run. Let's talk about the screen for a bit. AWOL have some incredible products. I really like where the brand is going with their whole strategy here. And their screens are fantastic. They've got this ambient light rejecting screen, ALR screen for short, which is insane. The one I've got here is a motorized floor rising acoustic screen with absolutely gorgeous image, even during the day. They have different levels of light rejection as well, and choosing the right model really comes down to your preference and your room setup, of course. This model here has a staggering 170-degree viewing angle, so you can pretty much watch it from anywhere, and is able to reject ceiling ambient light to 95%. One of the coolest things about the screen is how it allows you to put your audio gear behind it and not lose clarity of the surround sound. I love how they thought of that. And as you can see here, I have the screen right next to a window, which is probably the worst place to put it. My space here is probably not the best for a projector at all because it's got windows everywhere. But even without shutting down the blinds, I can still watch content on the screen thanks to the ambient light rejection. Back to the projector now. It has a very smooth system based on Android 9, but like I said, I use the Amazon Fire Stick for most of the things I need. But there's absolutely no lags and everything is easy to navigate. The projector comes with 128 gig of storage, and under file management here, you can set up different storage locations like a NAS if you have a NAS at home, or USB drives for your content. A cool feature here is also screen share, and it's very simple to set it up as well, just following the instructions on the screen. I've also plugged in my PlayStation 5 here and my Apple TV, and as you can see, the content from it looks awesome. I can hear you asking though about HDMI 2.1. This has HDMI 2.0, which is not a limitation of this projector alone, but rather a technology as a whole. I'm a very practical guy though. Ultimately, the test is, how good is it to play games? Let's have a look. Is awesome, right? And I'm amazed at how fun this is. Of course, it's not for competitive gaming, but I'm having a ton of fun with it. Under advanced settings here in the menu, you can also fine-tune the projector even further based on your preferences. I left MEMC on medium, which has been good enough for my taste, but do take a look at these settings and spend some time, tuning it for your taste and for your preferences. We all have different tastes, right? And AWOL really lets you fine-tune things in here. I mean, look at all these options they've got here. Noise reduction, dynamic contrast, enhanced black levels, color temperature, and much more. One particular setting that you might want to pay attention to here is the Dolby settings, just to make sure you've got the right size of your screen. This is 120 inch, but if you've got 150, that's right, This can go up to 150 inches size, but if that size will change the Dolby settings, so make sure you go in there and you change that. If you're planning on installing this in the ceiling as well, this is the part of the menu where you configure that too. For gaming, you can come in here and turn on turbo mode just for that smoother gaming performance. And just like the image settings, you can come in here and really dial in your preferences for audio. You can 100% use this projector with just the built-in speakers. They are stereo speakers and surprisingly powerful at 36 watts, giving you Dolby Atmos and DTS Virtual X audio. And depending on your space, this is going to be more than enough for a lot of different types of content. Of course, you can take it to the next level, connecting this to your soundbar or your hi-fi system, but look, for the first few days, I had it set up here in the studio without any speakers at all, and I was pretty happy with it. By the way, I'm still impressed by this 24 FPS mode. The movie playback was so good, you know, with no judder, and it just looks really good. All the highlights are perfect. For a projector, I'm shocked at how good it is. This section of the video here is where we may geek out a little bit and cover some of the specs in a bit more detail. Using Control 4, you can now easily get your projector fully integrated with your smart home setup. So if you've got automations, this is compatible with all that good stuff. The lens tech is fascinating, providing incredibly sharp image. The lens itself is a Ricoh f2.0 lens, which is an ultra clear glass lens. One point of feedback I've got here is for future versions to have a cover here, or perhaps a product that we could buy separately even, just to protect the lens or protect the projector itself when not in use. If you have a dedicated cabinet, of course, this is not going to be a problem for you, but in an open space like this, it can get quite dusty. I sometimes bring my pet here, so it would be nice to have a protector on it so the lens doesn't get a lot of dust in it. Tri-Chroma laser. The laser technology is superb too. This is a triple laser setup, able to deliver HDR content and covers 107% of the Rec 2020 color gamut. This laser is a bit different to what some other brands might use, and in short, it gives us a better color gamut range and accuracy as well. And as far as I can tell, there's no rainbow effect here. The LTV 3000 Pro has support for HDR10+, HDR10 and HLG, and as you can see here, it's pretty incredible how colorful the content is. And when the lighting condition is optimal, you can see how good the contrast is between the bright and dark areas too. The contrast ratio on the LTV 3000 Pro is 2500:1, which is actually a new feature of this model, thanks to its laser dimming technology, making this a fantastic projector for entertainment. We've been loving watching content on this and playing games. The AWOL Vision LTV 3000 Pro projector is a fantastic option if you're looking for a high quality projector for watching movies, sports or playing games. It has beautiful picture with great contrast and colors thanks to that triple laser technology and support for HDR content. As you saw here today, a great selling point for me is that the projector is also very easy to set up and use. It has so many features and it makes a great choice for a home theater setup. And just to recap, here are some of those key features that I mentioned. 4K resolution with HDR support, 3000 lumens of brightness, 2500:1 contrast ratio, Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos support, smart home integration with Control 4, 24 FPS mode, which is my favorite, MEMC technology for smooth motion in sports and games, 128 GB of storage, built-in speakers with Dolby Atmos and DTS Virtual X support, and of course the screen, which is an ambient light rejecting screen. I told you there was a lot of cool features. The 3000 really is awesome, and I would definitely recommend the 3500 version as well, and the daylight version of the screen if you're planning to watch a lot of content during the day in bright space like this one, but the 3000 is no slouch. There's an exclusive link for you down in the description, and thanks for watching.